Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are. Welcome to today's Crypto Blast. It is Thursday, the 7th of August, all day. You join myself and Cam from Institutional Fi, where Cam will be giving us the rapid fire updates, roundups, whatever you want to call it, of what is moving crypto, latest news, pricing flows, etc., etc. But before he cracks on, I'll get the legals out of the way. Nothing discussed on the Spaces session constitute trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ, Institutional Fi, myself, Ryan, or indeed Cam. How are you, Cam?
Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm doing very well, Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I am very, very well. I'm currently loitering in Canary Wharf ahead of a caviar and champagne tasting event later on this evening.
I was going to say, I heard that things might get a bit merry this afternoon.
Oh, I intend to get absolutely shit-faced, to be honest. But yeah, there you go. That's a technical term for you.
I was
But
going PC and you were going full blown.
well, I'm planning on turning up drunk, to be fair. There's no point going to a champagne and caviar event if it's sober, right? But anyway,
Start
enough
as you wish
about.
to go on. That's
Well,
exactly it.
exactly that, mate. Exactly that. But enough of my high functioning alcoholism. What's going on in crypto?
Right, let's jump into that.
One
I'm
second,
gonna
go for a
swap
drink. One sec.
exactly while he takes a sip of his beer, or spicy cocktail. Who knows? Right, yeah. So I'm going to mix things up. Normally we start with the price action, go
We
into
do.
what's been happening throughout the week. I'm going to change that because over the last course of, the last 60 minutes or so, basically this whole week's trend has just gone absolute smithereens and BTC is moved up a couple of percent. So, let's jump into the news first. And then in a moment's time, we'll cover exactly what the market moving news is. And then we'll jump into
Awesome.
the price action. Yeah, ahead of, today's trading. So to start off with some news, we saw that Peter Thiel's backed crypto exchange Bullish. Yes, that's the title of the company, which, to be honest, is
It's
probably
not.
the better one of the
Yeah,
crypto
do you know
names.
what? I was thinking, do you know what? When you consider some of the other company names we've had mentioned on this, yeah, do you know what? That's fairly normal.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't fault it. Fair enough. It says exactly what it does on the tin. So the exchange Bullish has filed for a US IPO aiming to around about $629 million at a valuation of 4.2 billion. It Bullish. I keep saying Bullish. It's Bullish, but the company's name is Bullish. Let's
Yeah.
not get that twisted. Bullish plans to convert part of the proceeds into USD stablecoins. Bullish relaunched its listing plan amid favorable policies like the Genesis Act and has acquired CoinDesk. Let's get that word right. In other news, VC monthly report in July, crypto funding surged 88% month on month to a record $5.3 billion despite an 8% drop in deal count. So VC money is ramping up in the crypto sector. Verb Technology, listed on the Nasdaq under the ticker Verb, announced a $558 million private placement to launch the first publicly listed TON Treasury strategy
Oh
company,
God.
rebranding as TON Strategy Company, with the ticker TSC. So yeah, well, like we mentioned, I think it was Friday on the Crypto Blast. It feels like now is the time where we're going to start to see all these different altcoins start to get these massive treasury bids. And that's exactly what we've seen this week. We've seen, Ton Coin, we've seen Sui Coin, and they're all within like the $500 million range. So which one's next is going to be the opinion. I think we guessed the Sui one, spot on the money there.
Yeah.
Ton Coin probably was an obvious one that we should have called out. Yeah. So more eyes on this
So go
again.
on.
When
So
these things start collapsing, look where
putting
the
you
domino's going to fall first.
putting you on
Go
the
on.
spot, and obviously no trading, investing advice, or yada 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 yada. And I won't hold you to it. But gun to your head, choose an altcoin for the next one to be the focus of a treasury company.
The Hedera network, which is HBAR.
There you
They
go.
have,
Bye
yeah,
bye
that's
bye.
it.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, take it back, take it back. Yeah, HBAR's probably going to be a strong pick for me, purely because, it's innovative in terms of its network. They've also got a massive partnership with SpaceX. So it's already, or
Oh,
it's
okay,
either
fair
on the
enough.
good list or the naughty list, depending on, what side of the camp you sit,
No, I like that.
with the whole Elon thing. But yeah, HBAR, Hedera. Let's see if that happens. So moving
Nice.
on, before we get sued, the US CFTC is launching a crypto sprint to actualize recommendations from the recent digital asset report from President Trump's working group. The CFTC said the agency will actively collaborate with the SEC to facilitate the US financial system's moves on chain. The current acting CFTC announced an initiative to list spot crypto asset contracts on CFTC registered designated contract markets, the DCMS. There we go, aiming to provide regulatory clarity on how such retail trading with leverage, margin or financing can occur under the existing Commodity Exchange Act. So yeah, very bullish news there if you are a crypto trader. The SEC's Division of Corporate Finance clarified that under certain structures, liquid staking and the issuance of staking receipts, tokens, generally do not constitute offers or sales of securities. In such agreements, users deposit crypto assets with a protocol or service provider, and recent tokens evidence an ownership of their staked assets and any associated rewards. In contrast to this statement, where they basically can't say that liquid staking isn't classified as securities, Amanda Fisher, the former the SEC chief and staff assistant to Gary Gensler, recently published an article claiming that liquid staking carries similar risks to the double staking practices at Lehman Brothers before its collapse, and potentially triggering a systemic collapse in the crypto industry.
So not
Yeah.
positive news then.
No, not necessarily. Completely against what the new SEC is basically ruling there. So a very, very red flag warning
Mixed
there coming
signals,
from
mixed
Amanda Fisher.
signals.
Yeah, no, exactly. Carry on from the last SEC's regime, I think.
Yeah.
So SoFi co-founder Mike Cagney's Future Figure Technology Solutions submitted a confidential draft S1 filing to the US SEC on Monday for a proposed IPO, with plans to go public later this year. The company, which describes itself as a I'm going to do in Ryan's air quotes here, blockchain native capital marketplace, has previously raised around $120 million. So SoFi to be paying attention toward there. According to the Wall Street Journal, the White House is preparing an executive order that would fine banks for dropping customers for political reasons, targeting alleged discrimination against controversial crypto companies. The draft order instructs regulators to invest whether financial institutions have violated the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, antitrust laws, or consumer financial protection laws. So Trump seemingly going after banks there with that one.
Do you know what?
Go.
Regardless of your political leanings, I am a believer that no one should be debanked, because it's wherever you are, US, UK as well. It's increasingly difficult to get banking in the first place, especially if you're like a startup business. So it's just a nightmare. And the fact that they can literally just phone you up one day and say, sorry, we're shutting down your bank account, it puts people's lives into absolute misery. And to do that just because you don't like the political leanings of someone, I think it is a really bad thing that they can do. So I'm all for this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I suppose the whole ethos as to why crypto was created in the first place.
One of the reasons, definitely.
Although they're trying to now bank the debanked, which is ironic. Moving on before I get hate from the crypto community. A story from Decrypt. So despite the Genius Act's ban on stablecoin interest, Coinbase and PayPal continue offering rewards on USDC and PYUSD, which is PayPal's USD, with about 4% and 3.7% APY respectively. Both argue that they are not actual issuers and that the reward comes from the platform revenue sharing and not interest, thus falling outside the scope of the ban on stablecoin interest payments. So there we go, a little loophole that Coinbase and PayPal are reportedly exploiting. I'm going to highlight that story comes from Decrypt again, not from PIQ. Galaxy Digital released its Q2 financial report, which includes an additional 4,272 bitcoins in Q2, bringing its total holdings to in excess of 17,000 bitcoins as of June 30th. Net revenue of around $30.7 million and the total equity value of $2.6 billion. They are holding a very large cash bunch of around 1.2 billion dollars in cash and stable coins, which is a massive amount of liquidity to allocate into what they're saying is going to basically be going into Bitcoin. I wonder what price BTC will be at that point. That'd be interesting.
Higher.
The Ethereum version, go on. Higher. That's exactly the right
There
answer.
you go.
The Ethereum version, the Ethereum version of MicroStrategy, or so we know it now as Strategy, SharpLink, which trades under the ticker SBEX, currently holds over 521,000 ETH between July 28th and August 3rd. SharpLink acquired an additional 33,000 ETH. An average price is $3,600. Currently, SharpLink's ETH is staked, and the cumulative staking rewards amount to almost 1,000 in ETH. So, yeah, that's compounding quite nicely for them. The US listed CEA Industries Incorporated has completed a $500 million private placement led by Yeezy Labs to adopt BNB as its primary treasury reserve. The company may raise up to an additional $750 million via warrants, and we will rebrand as the BNB Network Company with the ticker BNC on August 6th. So that already happened. That was yesterday. Former Galaxy Digital co-founder David Nambar will serve as the CEO for CEA Industries. BounceBit has partnered with Franklin Templeton to launch BB Prime, a new, I had to research this because I didn't realize this was a thing, CDFI, which is centralized, decentralized finance structured project.
Sorry.
It's a real thing, apparently. Yeah.
Sorry. So it's a centralized, decentralized, whatever it is.
Yeah, structured project that combines basis trading with tokenized treasury yields.
Okay.
So it's essentially a centralized product that wraps a decentralized product in a centralized market.
Probably the biggest, I say the biggest element of this story, potentially not, potentially is the fact that they're doing this with Franklin Templeton. So anyone that doesn't know, they are a huge custodian bank, and a custodian bank is basically seen as bulletproof. They don't take really any risk. It's where other banks really would park their money. We're talking like extremely risk averse. Their sole job is to make sure no matter what, your money is safe. And there are degrees of safeness when it comes to banks. Obviously, you mentioned Lehman Brothers earlier on. That was a prime example. So the fact that they're getting involved with this is probably a very good sign of where the market is going in terms of, big boy trousers on now, and not so much so cowboyish. It'd be really interesting to see where this leads, especially with guys like FT involved.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's probably one for comps, consider it's tokenized treasury yields.
There you go.
I'm sure he'll be all over this.
Here comes an infographic.
Yeah. Let's get the Zoom ready. So according to Bloomberg, former Binance CEO Zhaopeng Zhao has announced a Delaware bankruptcy court to dismiss a $1.7 billion clawback lawsuit filed by FTX estate over a 2021 share repurchase. Zhao urges the court lacks jurisdiction as he resides in the UAE and says that he was merely a normal counterparty. Binance called the allegations nonsensical and said it will contest them. So he's counteracting there quite significantly on that one. No doubt he doesn't want to have to pay out $1.7 billion on a lawsuit. So this one's a rumor, but I've put it in because it seemed to be somewhat market moving yesterday. A governance proposal reveals that MetaMask plans to collaborate with Stripe to launch a US dollar stablecoin called MetaMask USD, which will have the ticker MMUSD, which is intended to be issued and settled off-chain via the M0 network and natively integrated across MetaMask services. They are essentially a wallet to use against the crypto ecosystem. As of now, neither MetaMask nor Stripe have officially confirmed that plan. China's Ministry of State Security has publicly warned that a foreign company is using the issuance of cryptocurrency tokens as a gimmick to scan and collect user iris information worldwide and transfer the data source, posing a threat to personal information, security, and even national security. Now, they are essentially, without naming them, talking about WorldCoin, which have a massive global initiative to basically you scan your iris in, we collect the data, and we'll give you some world coin, and you can spend it however you like. Yeah, there's
So
obviously
basically,
lots of red
it's one
flags
of, yeah,
anyway
it's
with
one
that.
of, you are the commodity, right?
Yes, no, exactly that. They're basically, collecting your data and in turn providing you with something which, if you view it as valuable, well, there you go. Do what you want. You have free will. Japanese financial groups SBI Holdings has filed to launch two crypto-related ETFs in Japan. The crypto asset ETF offering direct exposure to XRP and Bitcoin, and the digital gold crypto ETF, which allocates over 50% to gold ETFs alongside crypto assets. That's quite, I really like that initiative there, especially coming from Japanese markets. There are not too many ETFs that gain exposure to XRP, and we've seen over the last couple of weeks that the Asian markets really are buying a lot of XRP, and they have a lot of interest in the network. So not a surprise to see XRP gaining an ETF offering there. Jumping on to news for today, and again, what's essentially been moving markets this morning. So according to Bloomberg, Donald Trump will sign an executive order today that aims to allow private equity, real estate, cryptocurrencies, and other alternative assets into 401k retirement accounts. The order directs the Labour Department to reassess the ERISA related guidance and coordinate with the Treasury and SEC on potential rule changes. When this news broke out, we saw Bitcoin break out of its recent trend. Now, it's been essentially stuck between around 112, maybe $113,000 all the way up to $115,000. And essentially this has been the range that we've been trading in this week. However, with this news that got announced, BTC quite quickly jumped. Let's see the actual percentages that it jumped, because it was quite a move. Yeah, 2% move up, which in recent weeks, we've been stuck within that 2%
Yeah,
boundary.
that's
So the
been the
fact that we
range.
managed to, exactly, that's been the range. So the fact that we moved that 2%, ahead of US market open, is quite a big deal. The rest of the crypto, sector also saw this jump from it. Ethereum is now trading at $3,830. XRP is above $3. BNB at $774. Solana, catching a 5% move over the last 24 hours to $172.
I guess,
Ethereum looks like it's the top mover, over the last 24
I
hours with a
guess this,
7%
being able
move
to
up.
add them to 401ks is just another sign of normalizing crypto space, right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Gaining exposure. It's the interest there is people are going to be essentially wanting to just accumulate and not sell into the market at any given moment. So, yeah, bullish for the longer term if this is in fact going to be
Yeah.
signed and put forward. On August 5th, spot Bitcoin ETF saw around $196 million of outflows, marking 4 consecutive days of outflows. And led by Fidelity's ETF, FBTC, which saw $99 million pour out. And Ethereum spot ETFs recorded a total net inflow of $73.2 million. So that was, of course, just for the other day.
So do we think
And
do we
then,
think this is like primarily like a rotation then, from Bitcoin to ETH?
yeah, so I'm not entirely sure if I'm on board with the whole rotation thesis just yet. I'm actually seeing a lot of people post that on the timeline where they think Ethereum's going to overtake Bitcoin's market
Oh yeah,
cap.
I'm not suggesting that for a second, but all I mean is like, this flow into Ethereum, and when you see an outflow, it kind of means that, they're paying, they're buying one by selling the other kind of thing, or funding the purchase of one by selling the
Yeah,
other. Yeah, I don't think, I'm not looking at this as more of a, I'm not looking at this as a macro rotation in terms of ETH is the next Bitcoin, but I just mean in terms of like the
of
daily
course.
flows, it's more of a, it feels like a rotational kind of move, like what you see in TradFi, where sometimes, you'll see
Yeah.
inflows into bonds, outflow out of equities, and it's just, selling liquid assets to buy, go long bonds, etc.
Yep, and you can see that on the ETH BTC chart, the dominant factor, ETH's gained quite a bit of momentum toward the upside against
Got you.
BTC. So yeah, exactly. In the short term, that is That's exactly what we're seeing. There's also the side of things where, we're starting to see, Bitcoin treasuries not slow down as such, but, the focus is a lot more on altcoins at the moment. We're seeing a lot of capital raises for altcoin treasuries, in massive scales. And the BTC side of things has slowed down in terms of like, we're seeing like $20 million here, $20 million
Yeah.
there. The Ethereum side of things as well is now starting to slow down. I saw someone, from Bitwise announced that they think that it's kind of hit its peak at the moment for this year, and that we're going to start to see a gradual decline. We mentioned on Monday as well that, of course, a lot of the TradFi guys are going on holiday during the month of August and to the mid-September. So no doubt we're going to start to see a little bit of slowdown in that corporate side of things. If you're left with, you don't want, the interns trading the whole fund's, account and going long on DTC while you're on holiday, and then you come back and you've been margin called. It's never
Yeah,
a great
it's
thing,
less
is
than
it?
ideal.
Although, if anybody wants to leave me in charge of the desk for the day, I'll put my hat forward. I hear fart coins a good investment. And on that note, I'll leave it there.
Awesome. Well, as Cam said, you can do whatever you want. You've got free will. Cam, thank you for a great show today. Thank you for giving us a great update. Are we doing a show tomorrow?
Yeah, we can run a show
Yeah, let's
tomorrow.
do one tomorrow, and we'll see where Bitcoin lands after today's latest news. Cool, awesome stuff, listeners. Whatever you're doing today, keep it tight, stay safe, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Much love.
See you then.